What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the car. Merry Christmas to all of you guys who celebrate it. Today is December 25th, 2025. So I just want to get that out of the way before we get into today's topic. So for today's video, what we're going to talk about is, I've always wondered why more people aren't curious. Okay, and when I say curious, what I mean is, I've always been a guy, ever since I was a young kid, as far as I can remember, who's been curious about life itself, about reality, about consciousness, about, what's going on in this reality, why are we here, what are human beings, spiritual questions, is God real, things like that, just deeper questions about reality itself, you know what I mean? And so, being that I've always been someone who's been deeply curious about finding, the truth, or finding answers to these deeper, philosophical or spiritual questions, it sort of puts you in a place where you feel a little bit different than the people around you, because it seems like a lot of the people in your immediate life, in real life, they're not curious about anything. It's like they don't want to go there, right? They don't want to ask themselves these deeper, like, philosophical or spiritual questions about reality and consciousness and who am I, and what is the universe and what's it all about and things like that. They either can't go there or they don't want to go there. And you being the type of person that you are, being that you're curious, being that you're truth seeking, you want to know the secrets to the universe, right? They look at you like you're some weird guy, or something is wrong with you for wanting to ask the deeper questions, when all they want to talk about is, they want to talk about fucking football, or they want to talk about the weather, or, have you seen this TV show, or did you watch the fucking, this award ceremony? Like, they don't want to ask deeper, real questions about reality itself. If you go online, there's a lot of videos about what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people that are on the internet who kind of want to ask these types of questions. But it seems like the people that are in your immediate circle in real life, they just don't want to ask these type of questions. They're not curious about reality itself. They're not curious about existence. You know what I mean? They're not self-aware, right? They're not willing to ask themselves these type of questions, because I guess it's scary, right? I guess it requires being able to ask yourself questions and being willing to learn about the universe and learn and shit like that. It requires humility, right? It requires you to be like, hey, I don't have all the answers. There is a lot that I have to learn. And I guess a lot of people, their egos are too big to kind of admit that to themselves. They think they have all the answers. They think that their way is the best way. They think that they don't have to learn anymore. They think that when they get out of school, that's when their learning journey ends. And for me, that's never been the case. When I got out of school, that was kind of the beginning of my journey of learning, right? Or it was a continuation, right? I guess. I guess the point that I'm trying to get across is, I'm not sure why there aren't more people out there that are curious, that are curious about reality and the universe, that want to learn what's going on, that want to learn about themselves, stuff like that. And, it's just, it can be isolating at times, but I know there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way I do, and if you're watching this video, you probably do too. And so, yeah, I've just never understood why there aren't more curious people. Why aren't there more people who are humble in the fact that they don't know it all, And don't get me wrong, like, I understand that a lot of people are in, like, a survival mode kind of mentality, where they, all they can focus on is how are they going to get to the next week, how are they going to eat, they got to work a job. I get it. Like, I work a job myself, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in that boat too. But at the same time, this desire to want to go deeper, to want to learn more, I've always had that, and I've always been surprised why there aren't more people that have that, why there aren't more people that are just curious in general. And the reality is, guys, like, life is a journey. You know what I mean? Life is a journey. Life is short. We're not here for very long, about 100 years or so at the very most. But, nonetheless, we're still here for a good amount of time. And so in that time, in that journey, don't you think that you'd want to, learn about what the hell is going on? Don't you think you'd want to kind of use that time to ask yourself these deeper questions about reality? What the fuck is going on? What is consciousness? Who is God, if God is real at all? You know what I mean? I believe he is, or I believe it is, whatever God is, whatever the energy of God is, or love, whatever. I think that asking these type of questions is something that most people would want to do, but unfortunately, especially in the modern world, people don't want to go there. They don't want to ask themselves these type of questions. They just want to scroll on the phone, or just be glued to the phone all day, or glued to the screen, or whatever. But I've always wanted to know the deeper answers of life and things like that. I've always been someone who's humble and is willing to know that I don't have all the answers and that kind of thing. So that's basically the video, guys. If you feel the same way, feel free to drop a like, feel free to drop a sub. My name is John. I do videos on thoughts on the modern world, just kind of my own opinions, my own thoughts from insights that I have, and social dynamics and things of that nature. So yeah, that's the video, guys. Appreciate you guys for watching.